This is easily the most forgotten and most looked over Ninjago season, and that is mainly down to one key fact, and that is of course that none of the entire season technically ever happened. But that doesn't necessarily mean that this wasn't a good season or that it is just a complete waste of time to watch. In fact, this season was actually one of my favorites for a while, but we will get more into that a bit later. So there is a lot that I want to talk about in this video, so let's just get right into it. So I feel like the best place to start is going to be talking about the first episode, and that is just because I feel like this episode was like a really good introduction to this season. I don't really mean quality wise, because it definitely wasn't the best episode, but it did set up a lot of really cool things in the season really well. So the episode starts right off the bat with the ninja, who are now mega famous celebrities, and they can't go anywhere without a mass amount of people following them. And I've always wondered why it was just now that the ninja became so famous, when they've saved Ninjago on even more notable occasions, such as from the Great Devourer and the Overlord on 2 occasions as well. But that isn't really the biggest deal in the world, but I did just want to mention it, because as I said, it is something that I have wondered for the longest time. Now, since the ninja are now massive celebrities, they need a manager, and who better than Grand Sensei Deref. And this is where we get to our first big setup for the season. Deref has Kai, Lloyd, Jay, Zane and Cole do a commercial to promote reading, while he leaves Nia out and gets her to do makeup tutorials for the girls. This then sets up Nia's character arc really well for the rest of the season, as she tries to basically make a name for herself other than just a girl ninja, Kai's sister, and most importantly in this season, Jay's love interest. But we'll again talk a bit more about that when we talk about Nia specifically. Now, the final thing that I want to talk about regarding this episode is the introduction of Narcon. So as we all know, Klaus finds the teapot of Tyron because the ninja made a stupid mistake going to the hospital instead of stopping him. But yeah, he opened the teapot, thus releasing Narcon, which of course eventually resulted in Klaus being trapped into the teapot by Narcon. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I just think this is such a great introduction of who Narcon is. It shows his powers and how manipulative he can be, and of course how evil he truly is. So as I said, this was overall a very good intro to this season. It started up a lot of arcs and also gave us a great opening statement of Narcon's characters and his motives. So while on the topic of Narcon, why don't we talk about him a bit more? So obviously the first thing we have to talk about is his wishes. So Narcon is a djinn of course, and he can grant 3 wishes to anyone that he comes across. The only thing is that Narcon is a little bit jealous that he can't grant wishes for himself, and he takes it out on everyone that makes a wish by twisting their words, therefore turning their wishes into their worst nightmares that they eventually end up wanting to wish away. And once they do wish it all away, they end up in his sword. So I did really like this part of Narcon's character and made him really unique from every other Ninjago villain, because yes, Chen was a manipulator as well, but Narcon is just like on a completely different level. However, I do have one small problem on this, and it really isn't Narcon's fault at all, but I did just feel like it was too easy for everyone to wish it all away. Like, the ninja kind of knew what Narcon's intentions are, and I definitely feel like they should have been a lot smarter. I guess you can give a free pass to Kai because he was the first one to encounter Narcon, but even still, Kai has fought a giant snake and the embodiment of evil, yet he is still scared enough to wish everything away when some crazy zombie girls attempt to chase after him. Anyway, Zane also doesn't really have an excuse because he knew what Narcon was capable of, and he initially showed that he knew him quite well, but as soon as Pixel got kicked out of his head, he just lost it and wished everything away. But yeah, other than that, I did really enjoy all of the wish stuff, especially because it gave us some very interesting and creative scenes. My favourite being that fight sequence in episode 7 Wishmasters, because the ninja used some very innovative wishes in this fight, which do really change the entire dynamic of it. and some of the wishes were really good, like how Venge Stone made the power stronger, and I wish these clouds would save our fall. By the way, that little cloud fight was just so fun and goofy. But of course, Narticon is more than just the wishes that he can grant. I mean, there's a reason he is in my top 3 to 5 Ninjago villains. One being is his manipulation, which I feel like I've already talked about enough in this video. And another reason is his sort of relationship with the ninja team, if you will. We see him numerous times talking with Jay after he got kidnapped onto the Misfortune's Keep. And these interactions really allowed us to really get to know and understand Narticon a lot better. Also, in those one-on-one scenes that we see when he gets the ninja to wish themselves away, we get to see basically the genius of Narticon and how he uses all of the ninja's different strengths and weaknesses against them. And finally, we do have to talk about his motives, the reasoning as to why he did everything in the first place. And to be honest, I am quite mixed on this. So his main motive is that he wanted to bring back his home of Ninjago, as when he visited it, he found it crumbling down and falling apart, all due to the ninja defeating the Preeminent, aka the Cursed Realm, in the previous season. And I don't really know how or why Narticon just assumes that it was the ninja's fault. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was, but how is he supposed to know that? Anyway, other than that, I do really like how he was trying to rebuild Ninjago by literally taking bits and pieces of Ninjago and taking them all the way up to the sky. But I guess you could also say that Narticon had another motive, that was to gain infinite wishes. So as I said earlier in the video, Narticon was really jealous of everyone as he isn't able to grant wishes to himself. So by gaining infinite wishes, he is now able to, and I don't really know / remember why Narticon wanted infinite wishes, even though I did just finish rewatching the season in preparation for this video. But I'm sure there was a good reason, and I think it may have also had something to do with rebuilding Ninjago as well, and probably also getting revenge on the ninja at the same time. And let's be honest, probably for overtaking Ninjago City as well, because that is pretty much what every Ninjago villain's main plan is. So overall, Narticon is just a really great villain. He was fleshed out super well, and he is definitely one of the most entertaining characters of the entire season, on par with the likes of Jay, who is my favourite ninja, by the way. Speaking of Jay, I do think we need to talk about him, because this is his season after all, and as I said like 10 seconds ago, he is my favourite ninja, and this season is a big reason for that. So in this season, Jay's story starts off with Jay wanting to get with Nia because he has had a crush on her for as long as time, and also because he saw a reflection in the Caves of Despair that says that he will eventually end up with her. And this journey is basically the catalyst for the rest of the season's events to unfold. At the beginning of the season, Nia seems disinterested in Jay as she wants to carve her own path for herself, and she feels if she gets into a relationship with Jay, it will just put her in the box that she is only Jay's girlfriend. Anyway, as the season goes on, we get a few interactions between Jay and Nia that just leave Jay with wanting more, and that all builds up into the scene when Nia and Jay are dressed up as police officers, and Jay offers to pay for lunch as he is the guy. But seeing as he has no money, he ends up having to leave Nia to pay for lunch. Then Nia makes it abruptly clear that she only wants to be friends with Jay, and that's all they will ever be. Jay then does the most Jay thing ever and spills his lunch all over his clothes, so he then goes away to clean himself, where he then gets greeted with Narticon. And this is where Jay gets his first opportunity to make a wish to try and win Nia over. He first wishes that he wasn't born in a junkyard, and then that he wasn't poor anymore. This then leads to the mailman coming up to him and giving him a letter notifying him that his dad is dead and that he has inherited lots of money. He then goes to the junkyard where he finds that Ed is healthy and alive, and his parents then reveal that he is actually adopted. He then goes to his biological dad's house, who he later learns is the famous actor Cliff Gordon. And now fast forward a few episodes, Zane has now been taken by Narticon, and Cole snitches on Jay and tells the other ninja that Jay has been alone with Narticon and even made some wishes of his own. This then makes the other ninja hate him, and not long after that, Narukon hunts down the ninja and Jay eventually gets kidnapped. Narukon quickly gets Jay to work by scrubbing the deck and even the outside of the ship, and it even makes him go into fights against the Sky Pirates while he is forced to wear a giant ball and chain. Narukon's goal was to basically force Jay to wish himself away, but as we see a lot in this season, Jay is a lot more mentally stronger than we were shown in past seasons. Also, Jay's time on the Misfortune's Cape is definitely one of the stronger parts of the season, as we get to see how Jay can handle himself without the other ninja with him. We also see how Jay is smarter than he looks, and most importantly, this season reveals that he is more than just his jokes and wittiness. Anyway, he does only stay on the ship for a few episodes, but he does end up managing to convince some of the Sky Pirates, and mainly Flintlock, that Narukon is likely going to turn on them once he gets infinite wishes, which does of course end up happening. And once he manages to escape the Misfortune's Cape, it is just Nia and himself who remain. So seeing as they are the only two remaining ninja, they go into hiding at the lighthouse owned by Zane's father, and there we get to see some really good chemistry between Jay and Nia. Nia finally confesses to Jay that she too feels the same feelings towards him that he does to her, and we also get to see a lot of very nice Jaya moments. But they are cut short as Narukon and his Sky Pirates attack them, and long story short, they decide that they need to escape, so they grab their traveler's tea and hide themselves in a room. But unfortunately, there's only enough tea for one of them, and since Nia wants to take control of her own life, she decides that it is Jay that should use the tea, as he still has one wish. Nia then gets taken by Narukon, and Jay gets transported all the way to Ed and Edna's junkyard. Here Jay decides that he needs to make his own team to help him stop the wedding between Nia and Narukon, so he grabs some of the ninjas' past acquaintances and leads them all the way up to Ninjago. Now, we don't often get to see Jay's leadership side. In fact, I can't really remember a time he really does until literally the most recent season, Dragon's Rising Season 3, when he leads the ninja to the land of Lee. Anyway, he leads them to Ninjago, he retrieves Narukon's blade, and that allows him to free the rest of the ninja, which he then leads into battle. And now, it would make perfect sense to talk about the finale now, but I want to save that for the end of the video, and there are still a few small things that I want to talk about first. The first of which is the Sky Pirate Army. Most of them are very one-dimensional. Clancy was pretty much just a shit kicker for most of the season, until he basically just became a plot device when Narukon needed him for his wishes. The balloon does nothing except do spinjitzu once. Monkey Wrench literally does nothing at all, however I still do like him. Dogshank's stick is that she likes to fight Nia, and then there is Flintlock, who is actually alright. At first he just seemed to be Narukon's right hand man, but as time went on he started to question Narukon's motives and began to lose trust in him, which leads into the climax of the season where he finally jumps ship and plays a major role in defeating him. Next, let's talk about what a lot of people's big problems are with the season, and that is the inconsistencies, which there are a lot of. There are a few that are related to the finale, which again, we will talk about later, but let's start off with Narukon's wishes. Sometimes he twists people's wishes into ways that can hurt them, and then there are other times where he pretty much does exactly what they want, even when it isn't in Narukon's best interest. The best example of this is when someone wishes for everyone to fall out of the Misfortune's Cape, and he makes every single person fall out of it. Additionally, we see numerous times throughout the season when Narukon can't trap the ninja in his blade without them wishing themselves away, but in episode 7 we see Clancy wish Lloyd and Cole away, which begs the question, why didn't he just get him to wish all of the ninja away to begin with? We also then see times when Narukon could just strike someone with the blade to trap them. So yeah, there are lots of problems with this season, but I still love this season despite them. So now of course we just have to talk about the finale. So I think we all know what happens here. Flintlock fires the Tiger Widow venom at Narcon, and which causes him to lose his infinite wish powers, and it also weakens him as Ninjago also starts to fall. Additionally, Nia gets caught in the crossfire, which causes her to die. We then get a very emotional moment in the show where the ninjas surround Nia with Jay holding her in his arms. Jay then talks straight from his heart, saying that he wishes no one found a teapot in the first place. This then causes Narcon to fall on the floor, and we are then shown a clock going backwards in time, which then cuts to the hospital scene from the very first episode. But this time, it is a little bit different, as Nia takes Jay's hand and she also performs air jitsu. Jay and Nia then tell each other that they remember it all, and all of the ninja are left very confused. And then we end the season off with watching Klaus getting attacked by a bunch of civilians from the City of Six, meaning he was never able to find the teapot. So, was it a good finale? Well, I did enjoy watching it, and it is certainly unique, and I do understand that making it so it never happened is a bit of a cop-out, but I don't really mind it. But in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on the Skybound finale. So just before we finish up this video, I do want to talk about how this season is basically viewed / portrayed across the rest of the show. So in season 8, the ninja visit the police commissioner, and in their conversation, the commissioner lists off some of the different villains that the ninja have faced across the show, including a djinn. So was that just like an Easter egg, or did he actually remember the events of Skybound for some reason? Then in season 10, the ninja look at the murals of all of their adventures, and one of the murals depicts Skybound, and we see some of the ninja looking confused as I don't remember it, and then we see Jay and Nia smile at each other. But my question is, how did Wu or the mural painter know to paint this? I mean, they are supposed to not even know that it ever happened. And now let me move over to Prime Empire, where at the very beginning we see a glimpse of Clutch Powers holding the teapot of Tyron, and we also see this again in Crystallized, and that raises the question as to why does he have it, how does he have it, and has he used it? And I don't think we'll ever get an answer to this. And the last thing that I want to mention is Aracor in Dragon's Rising. So Aracor is obviously a djinn, in fact, the only currently living djinn, because he was away from Ninjago when it got destroyed, just like Narcon. And so far in Dragon's Rising, we have not got a single mention of Narcon at all, or the events of Skybound. Not even a small line that even sort of alludes to it, which does not make a whole lot of sense, especially as Nia is in the most scenes with Aracor, and as we know, Nia has certainly had a mixed relationship with a certain other djinn, so it is a little bit surprising that she has never even mentioned the thing. So overall, it just seems like the show just wants to completely ignore this season altogether, or the writers just throw in a few Easter eggs to tease us every now and then. But yeah, that was my expert analysis of Ninjago Skybound. This is definitely one of my favourite seasons, and it is also the season that made me the biggest J fan that I am today. Sure, there are a few flaws, but in total, I still do very much like this season. But now I'll leave it over to you. What are your overall thoughts on this season? And if you want to see another J season review, then I have my Prime Empire one on the screen for you as we speak. See you later, be ninja.